I write as an academic and as a poet under the name Aurelia Lorca, and this story is how I became Aurelia Lorca. The December I returned to graduate school, I visited him after I got off work and sat on the floor next to one of his chairs as he played video games. It was a month before we broke up. He was scowling and did not look at me. He knew he could not stop using. He knew I was not happy about it. He was living in an SRO with special garbage chute for needles, but his room and its floor was clean and had a nice window. I did not care where he lived, that he was a line cook who only made $13 an hour. I cared that he could not stop using heroin. It terrified me because someday I knew it would kill him. I think I'm going to start writing as Aurelia Lorca, I said. He was the first person I told this to. He paused from his video game and looked up. What? You know, after Lorca, the poet who was killed at the start of the Spanish Civil War. In his last play, his heroine Aurelia lived in literature, but it was obsessed too much with the past. Lorca wanted her to receive a cathartic slap in the face to place her in the present, but he was killed before he could finish the play. He went back to his video game, virtually killing some sort of zombie while riding a horse and swinging a lightsaber, and non-virtually sipping Four Loko from his Gatorade bottle. I looked at the white paint around his window frame that was yellowed brown and cracked. He always kept it open enough for his cat to squeeze through, but she wouldn't, he insisted, because his room was on the 4th floor. She's trapped, he told me when I said something about her love for him. It's because she cannot leave. His bed was under the window. The sheets had slid off the mattress and were stained in multicolored splotches. Sometimes he spilled beer, and more often than not, he wore his shoes in bed, which he justified by saying if his cat could walk all over the bed after being in her litter box, then his shoes were not such a big deal. Next to his bed was the green card table that came with his room. On the table was a small cacti and a tiny blue glazed pot that I bought him, his Virgin of Guadalupe candle, and 3 cans of Four Loko. The watermelon flavor, his favorite flavor, came in a large green can with graffiti-like bright pink letters. He liked to pour the cans into an empty Gatorade bottle, which he nursed and would nurse from them throughout the day. Pushed against the wall of his table was a jagged row of books and his unfilled sketch pad. Above his books was my picture. He said it had always been there. I just didn't notice. But someone told me he put it up during one of our fights when I didn't speak to him for 3 weeks. I was told he put the photo up after seeing that, yes, he did love me. He really loved me. He put down the controls to his video game, looked over at me, shook his head, and smirked, keeping his lips firm. Aha, I said. It's a good name. I can tell Aurelia Lorca is a good name because you are smiling. I crawled over to him from across the room and poked at his cheek. I can see your dimples, I cooed. And when I can see your dimples, I can see the sweet little fleck of a mole on your chin. It's like a teensy tiny chocolate chip. I'm smiling because it's a Thursday and I don't have to go to work tonight. He turned his face away and looked back at his video game, but he was smiling. Seriously, I said, I want to make a political statement. Lorca was a middle-class poet who looked at the history and heritage of Granada. Though Lorca has nothing to do with the immigrant population I am from, there's a point I want to make. He shook his head more, but this time he was smiling and showing his teeth. Nerd, he said. Once he told me I reminded him of Amy from The Big Bang Theory. He even laughed. He always called me a nerd when he was in a good mood. I am Aurelia Lorca, I insisted. Okay, I believe you, he said. He put down the controls to his video games and picked up his Gatorade bottle and took a drink. Lorca says a dead man is more alive in Spain than anywhere else. I disagree. Lorca never heard my grandfather singing flamenco in the shower after working in the boats of Henry Row. Lorca had never been to Monterey, California. We might not talk about it, but some dead are never dead. Exactly like love. He hated it when I said the word love too much. It was too gushy for him. Love still found its way, but flies were circling around us. My heart was on the tip of a syringe. Night after night I laughed at the moon and her madness, her endless cycles that placed my words in the spotlight or the corner. I had become a sugary hysteria, a cipher. I kept coming up against the wind as it carried a death rattle of colorless tears. I had hit my breaking point and had even been sleeping with other men. He knew. He forgave me. We just did not talk about it. He stared at the controls to his video game and nodded. Then he turned his head and looked directly at me. "It's a good name," he said. "You should use it. Thank you."